In the first reading we hear that Paul, he goes to the Areopagus in ancient Athens, and this is what we hear he says to them. You Athenians, I see that in every respect you are very religious. For as I walked around looking carefully at your shrines, I even discovered an altar inscribed to an unknown God. What therefore you unknowingly worship, I proclaim to you. So I want to talk about this morning. So the Areopagus in ancient Athens, Mars Hill is what it was known as. There was this huge outcrop of rock, and on top of it was this huge gathering space for the coming together of all these different philosophies and religions, and it was a court of conversation, a court of curiosity, and there was all these shrines. And what we might say what was clearly on display on the top of the Areopagus, this whole area, we might say what was on display is man's religious instinct. And put it that way, this religious instinct, that this sense that we carry in us, every culture, every civilization, that there's got to be something more to this world, right? There's something more to this world. There's something beyond. You see in this religious instinct that man is reaching out and pursuing and looking for God. Monsignor Luigi Giussani, who was the founder of the religious movement known as Communion Liberation, he describes this as, the religious instinct, man reaching for the mystery, the infinite mystery. This is what St. Augustine's talking about when he says, you have made us for yourself, O Lord, and our hearts are restless until they rest in you, that we carry in our hearts this infinite longing for the infinite mystery. And you can see on the top of the Areopagus this religious instinct of man reaching out for the infinite. But I want to say this. That is not what Christianity is. That's not what Christianity is. If religion is defined as man's search for God, then Christianity is not religion. I know that sounds very heretical for 8 o'clock in the morning. But it's true. It's true. Stay with me on this. Christianity is not our search for God. It's the astonishing proclamation that God has come in search of us. We're the Chilean miners stuck beneath the earth, and God is the one who rescues us by lowering himself down into where we are. That's the claim that we make. We are the ones that he is looking for. And like the great achievement of the saints are the ones who have let themselves be found over and over and over and over again, to let themselves be found, to let parts of their hearts and lives that have stayed buried, to let those parts be discovered and seen and rescued and redeemed. Think about those parts in the Gospels, I think it's Matthew's Gospel, where Jesus is giving us these parables of the kingdom, and he's comparing the kingdom of God to all these different things. The kingdom of God is like, the kingdom of God is like, the kingdom of God is like, over and over and over again. He says things like the kingdom of God is like a merchant searching for pearls, searching for fine pearls, and when he finds the pearl, he sells everything he has and he goes and buys the pearl of great price. Or the man who finds the treasure buried in the field, and then he goes and sells everything that he has so he can buy the field to obtain the treasure. And I think, probably for most of us, every time we've heard these parables, we hear it through this particular lens where we think that what Jesus is saying is that, okay, the kingdom of God is like this precious thing, this rare thing that you have to be on the hunt for. Like you have to be diligently searching for. Get your sort of spiritual metal detector out, looking for the kingdom of God, searching for those elusive graces, right? You got your little pan in the river of creation, searching for a little flecks of gold, flecks of the kingdom. That ain't the kingdom. That isn't Christianity. Those parables of the kingdom, read it through this lens, that he is the hunter, we are the hunted. You are the pearl of great price. You are the treasure buried in the field that he is looking for. He gives away everything, all of his divine prerogatives, sells everything that he has to obtain the treasure, which is you. Which is you. He enters creation, he suffers, he dies, he rises, divesting himself of everything to purchase us for God. So when St. Paul comes to the Areopagus and he's saying to the Athenians, I see that you're very religious, but I have something incredible to tell you. What he's doing is he's flipping the world on its head. You Athenians, I see that you're very religious. I see that you're hungry for God. I see how you are searching for God. You even have an altar to an unknown God, but I declare to you the astonishing truth that the God you've been looking for, has actually come looking for you. And he's raised this Jesus from the dead. He went to the last hiding place imaginable. He went down into Sheol, down into death, where you thought you could hide, O Adam. And he said, awake, O sleeper. He came and called us out of darkness. Okay, so friends, here's your homework for today. I haven't given you any homework for daily mass in a long time. So here's your homework. If you got a catechism, I want you to open it up to the first paragraph of the catechism. The very first paragraph. I'm not even going to tell you what it is. I'm not even going to read it because this is your homework. Open up the catechism, very first paragraph. I want you to read it. I want you to pray with it. I want you to sit with it. I want you to let it soak in and meditate on it. Especially those parts of your heart that are convinced that I have to search, I've got to find God. I've got to do this right. I've got to do this the right way. Because if I do this the wrong way, I'm going to miss it. I'm going to miss him. Spoiler alert, he's the one who's looking for you. That's Christianity. That's the Mass. That's what we're doing here. Let ourselves be found